Today we're taking a look at this Anker Bolder P2 rechargeable flashlight. Recently we moved and I am now in an area where when walking the dog at night, need kind of a more powerful flashlight just to kind of see where I'm going as it's more rural. And say I was looking for a flashlight that was smaller and a bit more compact than the single 18650 cell flashlights that are out there that are incredibly bright but can be a little bulky. So here's the Anker Bolder P2 rechargeable flashlight, and it's kind of a slight unboxing. I've already opened it up because kind of wanted to check out what was inside, so we'll just do that. So the flashlight does come in a polyethylene bag. I'm taking that off just to test it to make sure this thing actually works. So there's the flashlight. It's quite small and quite slender. Also in the packaging, you get Anker's happy or not happy customer service card, the box, and then I think, oh, that's right, I did put the batteries in it, so the batteries do come separately. I'll show you them in a minute, as well as a charging cable. That's pretty much all that comes with. As far as the eco-friendliness of the packaging, it's quite nice because it's all cardboard, so you just recycle all of that. So the flashlight itself is rated on its low power, low beam, there's two beams, low and high beam. It is rated 5 hours and 30 minutes runtime on its low beam, and it looks like 1 hour and 30 minutes on its high beam. I will show the battery compartment, which is on the back, which is right there, and then there are just AAA batteries that come with the unit that are placed inside. So these are Anker rechargeable nickel metal hydride batteries. I'm curious if they do make their own or who these are made by, but they're 900 milliamp hour, 1.08 watt hour, 1.2 volt. I doesn't say anywhere that it's low self-discharge, but I would imagine that they would be. Batteries go into the unit, just decided taking them out. And the nice thing about this is that you could take the batteries out when the unit goes flat and just swap in new batteries. Or there's a little slide away cover. You can probably see the lightning bolt with a little arrow. You push this cover back and it reveals a micro USB port to which you can charge your device. So there are a few peculiarities with that I have found, and I'll show them to you now. Okay, so because this is a nickel metal hydride battery arrangement as opposed to a lithium-ion cell, the charging is a little bit different. The charging mechanism is a little bit different. That is, a good charger shouldn't just apply direct voltage onto the batteries until they reach their charge termination voltage, which in this case would be somewhere around 1.5 volts. What we should see is a charge current being applied and then it dropping out and measuring the voltage of the cells, and then reapplying a charge current, dropping out. And that's how you achieve what is the negative delta V charging termination, which is basically it reaches a point where the cell climbs to a certain point and then actually starts to come down off of that highest voltage that it had. So maybe in the case of this, it'd be 1.45 or 1.5 volts. And then as current is continuing to be applied to it, it actually starts to drop off. The voltage starts to drop off. And that's when it knows that it's fully charged. So we'll plug this in. These cells are actually probably not that charged, just to see what the behavior is on the analyzer. And so we can start to see already a good sign. There is a LED indicator somewhere on the body of this. Which now, oh, there it is. So you can see, hopefully, that it is blinking. It's kind of buried deep in there, so I'm not sure if the camera's going to pick it up directly. But there is an indicator. And then when it goes solid, I think all the instructions are on the back of the box, that when it goes solid, that the charging is completed. But if you look at the display here, you can see what I was talking about, that it is charging it in the better way for these nickel metal hydride batteries. It is applying a current and then removing that current, measuring the voltage of the cells, and then reapplying the current again. It is doing this, the best I can tell, there's 2 cells in series, so it is charging the cells in series. There's nothing that indicates that there's any sort of cell balancing going on in here. So it is possible for one cell to be overcharged while the other is not. But again, this is a $17 flashlight as of the time of recording this on Amazon, so it's kind of a slight risk. Perhaps they're charging it slowly enough. It looks like it's 660 milliamps that's being applied across both cells, that it really doesn't affect it that much. And if there was that much of a concern, you just periodically pull the cells out and throw them into a regular charger that does individual cell charging. I didn't see anything on the box that indicated what the charge time would be for this flashlight. So based on the capacity of the cells and the approximate rate of charge, seems like it might take between 2 to 3 hours, perhaps longer, to charge it up from being completely flat. The illumination is quite good, and it's low and high beams. This might just wash out, but I mean, the low beam is pretty good, has a pretty good spot, and the high beam is pretty good as well. I don't know if that's going to wash out on the camera, but yeah, but that's a good indication of the 2 different levels. One issue that I have with these style, the Anker flashlights, including the other flashlight that I have, which is the much larger, bolder, this chunky guy, is their buttons. For some reason, the button click feel is just never, it's good when you're pressing it down into something, like into a table. But when you're outside and you're like trying to get your thumb on it, it can be a little bit funky sometimes. This one, because it's smaller and the button is just sticking out of the back and there's no protective grate around it, I'm a little concerned about that, but I haven't had any issues yet with it. But also when you're clicking it, sometimes it doesn't quite give the feel that you want when you have, like, now that it's winter, say a gloved hand or something like that, you have a glove over your hand. But it still comes on when I want it to come on, and since it only has 2 modes, I haven't had any, it's either off or on in one of the 2 lower high modes. So that's about it. It's a nice little flashlight. Comes with a little clip. I like the light output and the portability. And aside from the slight concern with the button and the minor concern with the way that it might be internally charging the batteries, I think it's a great flashlight. So thanks for watching.